Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
George Raveling, great basketball coach, said this, and it's really worth listening to. Mental toughness is the ability to see the bright side of a hopeless situation. Adversity is an experience, not a final act. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you. You look outside and you see that blue sky and that sunshine, and whew, it's cold out there. 12 degrees I've got right here at my place. Morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of wintertime driving tires. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, it's time for a patriot to give us our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Doug. Talk to you in a little bit. Thank you very, very much. And right now it's time for our weather forecast on a clear, cold morning this morning. Brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Right there, smack dab on the Burley Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They offer rental tools and equipment for both long and short term, and they've got everything over there. And if you're not sure what you need, call them. Talk to them. They'll tell you. 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Relatively nice weather, but it is going to be cold for the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Going to be nice and calm, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 31. Tonight, some clouds will be rolling into the valley, and we are looking at a low of 13. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, high of 27. Expecting an overnight low of 17. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be for the rest of the week and into the weekend. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 28, mostly sunny and mid-30s for Friday and Saturday, and even for Sunday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody this morning, as it is every morning on our program, first and foremost by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley Paul Highway. Good morning to Roger and the crew, and the number to call for all your equipment and tools at 678-3122, K&R Rental. Want to remind you, too, Thursday morning is sale day morning at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. Oh, yeah, the sale that works for you. 10 o'clock sale time on Thursdays, and if you've got cattle to consign or you want more information on the sale, call 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, Thursday sale day at 10 o'clock. Don't you miss it. Absolutely. All right, I got a lot of things to cover this morning, and I also want to acknowledge to you that we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant next week on the 13th, and I'm going to tell you more about that in a few minutes for the great big old-fashioned Christmas party. Right now, I want to remind you, too, about Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Are you going to a Christmas party and you don't have your little elf outfit all cleaned? Or maybe you're having guests in and the tablecloth is a mess from Thanksgiving. Well, take everything and anything in there to Daryl's Cleaners to have it cleaned and looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best at what they do. I know. I've been going in there, I don't know how many years. Holy smokes. I really appreciate Kevin and Cindy and everything they do. At Daryl's Cleaners in Burley, you stop in and see those good folks today. A lot of Merry Christmas wishes, and I'm looking for ideas from you, the audience, as to maybe some little segment we can do once or twice a week regarding Christmas and leading up to Christmas. So if you've got any ideas on that, I'd really appreciate it to call me on my cell phone after the program, or you can call me right now, too, on the program. My cell phone, 312-2976, or you can call into the show. Let me know if there's anything we can do, put together, or whatever to have on the air to help enhance Christmas for 2018. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, and they stay open till 5, Monday through Friday. And they have all, underline that word, your heating, cooling, and electrical needs heavy on the heating right now with 12 degrees outside. And don't forget, they've got a staff of people that absolutely are the best. The cream of the crop at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, with the number 678-0459. Now, I mentioned the Christmas party, and I want to get into that a little bit if I can. Next Thursday, the 13th of December, we're going to have our annual, I think this is the 5th year that we've had this, old-fashioned Denny's Christmas party at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. And it's going to start at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be over there doing a remote broadcast for the full 3 hours. And we're going to have Christmas carols and prizes, lots of prizes, and lots of people to thank for that, too. Santa Claus is going to be there, and Loot in the Boot to help needy families for Christmas time. Ashley Ludlow is going to be singing the music. It's going to be nice. Just an old-fashioned Denny's Christmas at 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner, and you can stop in anytime, all the time, for the best, like I said, of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Jerome Corsi. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should, because he's in the news a lot. He is a man that now is being thrust into the middle of the Mueller investigation, and he has had his life, his savings, his finances, everything turned into a shambles. Now, if you'll recall, in the past, in the spring, back in March and April, we had Mr. Corsi on this program not once, but twice as a guest on our show. And now the investigation of the Mueller, I've got words I'd like to say about this Mueller investigation, but I'm trying to remain at a higher level. Now the investigation is trying to prove that he, Corsi, lied in testimony. Well, I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm going to try to correct some of the misnomers going on in the press. He made some statements in testifying, and then he contacted them and said, you know what, I think I might have said this wrong. Can I get an exemption and ask for a redo to correct the remarks? The Mueller investigation said yes. Then, after he made the redo to correct the remarks and answers on certain questions, they went after him, and they're trying to prosecute him. The Mueller investigation is not an investigation. Let's draw that simple right now. When a crime is committed and there's an investigation to prove guilty or not guilty, or who the bad guys are or who done it, that's one thing. But now the Mueller investigation is a paid witch hunt to literally create a crime and create guilt and create people to suffer for it. I've never seen a bigger waste of money in my life. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars spent to create a crime and create a guilty person or persons. And I got to say this because the man absolutely just makes my skin crawl when I look at him. He's a little wuss. I mean, he's a guy that never grew up. Adam Schiff of California. He's the poster boy for the tattletale you hated when you were in grade school. And they are making such a huge deal about Russia. Russia this, Russia that, Russia this, as you've heard other commentators say, I'm sure. When the real enemy, and I said this on my program over the last year, is not Russia. It's China. And it just doesn't seem to soak in. The Democrats are absolutely proving their stupidity, and probably, and I hope not, the Democrats, with this stupidity and this Russia, could have us with our heels on the brink of the cliff of war with Russia. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, God must love stupid people because he lets the Democrats just kind of go on and on and on. I tell you, it's just unbelievable. Merry Christmas wishes from Searles at 120 North Center Street in Oakley. Oh, my goodness, gas, grub, and goodies. They open the door at 6 o'clock in the morning, stay open until 9 p.m. at night. They've got those specialty buns that are baked fresh every day. Oh, they're good. And don't forget Searles in Oakley, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with Kelly's Bearings at 1407 East Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got all the bearings, the chains, the brackets, everything. Zach and Brett, the entire crew, serving you at Kelly's Bearings in Burley. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And Dixon Oil Company at 602 South 2nd and Rupert. Hello, Daryl and the crew at Dixon Oil. These are people that have been serving you for a long time. They care about the community with the best of gas, oil, and propane. Don't forget Dixon Oil in Rupert, and all of them, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Don't forget that. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk a little bit about a story, and this woman, Slate staff writer Ruth Graham, in my humble opinion, is one of the most vile, one of the most worthless, one of the most absolutely devoid of any common sense or emotion women that I've ever talked about on this program. She wrote an article about the dog, the service dog, lying in front of George Bush's casket. And here's what she said. Don't spend your emotional energy on Sully. That's the name of the dog. It even helpfully included the subheader called, he's a service dog who had been with the president for only 6 months, not his lifelong companion. So in other words, in this article, she goes on and on about, oh, yeah, the picture might have looked nice, but don't waste your emotions on it because it was nothing more than a service dog laying there in front of the casket. And here's what she said in her exact words. It's a bit demented to project soul-wrenching grief onto a dog's decision to lie down in front of a casket. Sully is not heroic for learning to obey the human beings who taught him to perform certain tasks. Does the photo say anything special about this dog's particular loyalty or judgment, or is he just there? Also, if dogs are subject to praise for obeying their masters, what do we do about the pets who eat their owners when they're dead. How sick. How demented. You know, when I saw the picture of the dog lying in front of the casket, and I was remembering the presidency of George Bush, President 41, and thinking about where I was, what I did, the events that were happening in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just remembering. And then I saw that dog lying there, and I thought, you know, there is love in all forms still alive and well in this country. And for that dog to be lying there in front of the casket, and all those people going through the Capitol Rotunda to honor our President 41, George Bush, and it just gave me a good feeling that we still have compassion, and we still care, and we still love. And then you read an article by a cold-hearted witch, and I articulated on that very carefully, and it just takes away all the good and replaces it with good, bad, and evil from a woman by the name of Ruth Graham. She has no class, or if any, low class, and she evidently didn't have much to write about or not smart enough to find a better subject. But condemnation of a picture of a service dog lying in front of the casket of our 41st president. I don't know. Calls are welcome. Come on, don't let me down. Call me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and the entire crew of highly trained physical therapists at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Yes, I'm going in there. Yes, I'll be there again this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Yes, they're helping me. I absolutely expect you to call them and make an appointment if you want help getting back to being you. Whether you've had an accident or whether you're recovering from surgery, whatever it might be, please give them a call today and make an appointment. 678-1191. They're located at Burley, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. You call them today. I would appreciate your giving me a call, too. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle on the landline. You know, it's really funny. All of a sudden, the last couple of days, everybody must be getting ready for Christmas and ignoring yours truly. So come on, give me a jingle. I will say one other thing before I go to my next topic. And I want to really give a kudos and a shout-out to Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And they really care about your livestock and your pets. And they're really warning everybody, hey, listen, with these cold temperatures and the dog's dishes and bowls are freezing up and then maybe your horse tanks are freezing up and everything, whoa, this kind of the weather and this time of year, they actually need more water and they'll consume more water. So keep the water warm and unfrozen, please. It'll help the health of all your animals. Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole crew, urging you to really maintain animal health, and if there's a problem, call them at 678-1177. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. I'd have a warm heart right now for somebody that would call in. Gee, I'd be tickled pink. Now, let's talk a little bit about France. Now, if you didn't hear this, you should know that the middle class was really teed off against President Macron, the prime minister, I should say. Well, we're going to have an update on that in just a moment. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, my friend.
I feel sorry for people out there that do not understand the unconditional love a dog can give you.
You know, Doug, I don't care if it was a service dog that was provided to President Bush in his latter years. I don't care if it wasn't even emotionally attached to President Bush, which I think it had to be, because service dogs, there is an extreme loyalty and a listening and doing of commands. But for this woman, Ruth Graham, to write this absolutely low-class article, cutting down the dog and also the Bush family, I thought it was absolutely apprehensible.
It was. It just shows me right there that service dog has more knowledge and common sense than that gal that wrote that article.
Yeah, and then to include, and I wasn't trying to be salacious or theatrical, but to include that if dogs are subject to praise for obeying their masters, what do we do about the pets who eat their owners when they're I hated to even say that it was so low-classed.
It was. That gal should take the words of, I think it was President Lincoln, who says it's better to be thought of as a fool than open up your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah, and here's what she said at the very end of this absolutely stupid article. This is simply a photograph of a dog doing something dogs love to do. Lie down.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can say I feel sorry for her.
I guess it's hit me more at this time of the year when we should be having more of a kind of a God rest ye merry gentlemen and help for our fellow man and service to one another and love to one another. And we just lost a president of the United States passing away at 94, George Bush. And then this article comes out denigrating the dog and the service to George Bush as the president. I found it to be absolutely revolting. And what I'm going to try to do is find out an address for this woman and let her know in no uncertain terms that when they made the Wizard of Oz, they had the wrong witch riding the broom.
Yes. And it's sad that people will do this just to get attention. And what's also sad is the editor of that paper actually printing it.
Yeah.
That's another one that just ought to wake people up to let you know where they stand. They do not stand with America.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. I've got to interrupt you right there, and I want to ask you to respond to this. If it were a conservative and if it were a Republican, what would your reaction be? What would the world's reaction be to that if the dog was lying in front of a casket of either Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or something like this? I dare say that there would never have been an article like this printed.
And if there was, there would be every newspaper, every mainstream media would be having a deal condemning them for what they did.
I just can't imagine somebody being this low class. When you think the Democrats and the liberals have finally reached down to the bottom of the barrel where the scum is forming, they go even lower.
I know it. That when they go low, we go high, Michelle.
Yeah.
What you can take from the Democrats and what I've learned over my years on this earth is when they tell you something like they go low, we go high, you can almost guarantee they are doing the opposite of what they say.
I couldn't agree more. Doug, I've got another caller waiting, if you would, please.
Well, there's one other quick little thing. If we want carbon tax in America, look what's going on in France.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. The middle class, it wasn't the right wing or the left wing. It was the middle class, people that are small business owners, people that are farmers, people that are trying to eke out a living. They were the ones that were protesting. And I stand with them because they got it revoked and Macron backed down.
Exactly. But they want to bring that same tax here to America. So America needs to wake up.
I think you're 100% right. And quickly with the seniors.
Let's support our seniors. Let's do what we can to support them. They're having a craft fair at the Senior Center in Rupert on December 7th.
Okay.
If anybody wants to stop in.
Doug, thank you. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Caller number 2, please just have patience with me for 60 seconds. I got to remind everybody that Burley Livestock Sale Yard is going to present a special sale next Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock sharp. It's the 3rd annual bred cow sale. We're going to have Kate Rogge on later on this morning to talk about it. Over 1,200 good quality cows and heifers, top genetics, mostly one-iron cattle, and it's going to be a dandy good sale. For more information, contact Kate Rogge at 431-0074 or the office at Burley Livestock 678-9411. Don't miss this special annual bred cow sale at Burley Livestock, Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock. And quickly, oh my goodness, the caller's going to get mad. Dino's Septic Service, don't forget they provide service that you don't want to do. You don't want to stand out there in 12 degrees and try to pump out a septic tank. Oh, no! Backhoe services, septic tanks and drain fields installed, liquid waste removal. Oh, they're the best at what they do, and they've recently expanded to better serve more people. Number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Don't forget Dino Septic Service with the big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service. Caller, you've been great. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Zeb. I want to tell you a little story if you got time. I've been wanting to tell somebody, and I'm going to get emotional if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead, my friend. It's good to hear from you. Go ahead. I've got about a minute and a half. Go ahead quickly.
Okay, I'll be quick now. When I was in Vietnam, I was in 11th in a cavalry. We had to go on dismounts, and I wasn't the dog handler, but the guy and the dog was named Cracker. And he was all our friends, but the handler was his dog. Well, he hit a trip flare in front of us, and he was almost disemboweled, this dog. And the procedure is if a dog is incapacitated, the handler has to give him a shot. And that dog was laying there, and that handler took out the needle to give that dog. We had to leave him because the Kong would have heard that explosion. We had to set up an ambush. And that dog laying there reminded me of that picture of Sully laying with that casket, and I couldn't hardly take it. And for this woman to do something like that, she ought to be off this planet. And I'll hang up.
No, Ray, wait a minute. I want to say to you, a dear friend, thank you for sharing that story with me, because it couldn't have been at a better time. Thank you so much, because that just proves my point this morning, that there are low-class, no-class people in this world, and this author of that story is one of them. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
God bless you. Merry Christmas. Wow. That story got to me. I'm sorry. Caller, good morning. You're on the air, please.
Good morning, Zeb. I just want to say this woman is a sick-minded troll, saying what she said about that dog. And also I want to add, to call her the alternate word to what you called her would be an insult to female dogs.
Well, I'm not going to get into that part anymore, Rodney. I'm just so sickened by an attitude, especially at this time of the year, where maybe there could be a reaching across enemy lines, if you will, and a handshake and a look to heaven for a common bond with the birth of the Christ child and Merry Christmas. But no, this idiot woman by the name of Ruth Graham absolutely has gone to below the pond scum and written this article denigrating the dog and the funeral. I was just taken aback, and I was so mad. It's a good thing that I had my boots on and ready to go outside, because one of them would have went through the TV. I was really upset.
Yeah, I'd like to really tell her what I think too. You know, I mean, I can't say what I want to say to her on the air, because that would not be very kosher.
Well, we'd be falling down to their own subliminal low level, and I'm not going to go there. But, Rodney, God bless you and Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a very Merry Christmas, too, and I will see you at the party.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I tell you what, and again, I got to go back and say, what would have happened What would have happened if a conservative writer like Cal Thomas or someone like that would have written an article like that? I'll guarantee you the walls would have come tumbling down. The Democrats and the liberals, they would, oh, this man is terrible, he has no feelings, etc. They would have just absolutely gone after him, and they would have chased him out of the city into the desert with no clothes, no food, no water. But we find this filth happening a lot and accepted by the left where they hardly get any criticism. Please know that on this program they're going to get one hell of a lot of criticism. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Merry Christmas wishes from Representative Fred Wood, District 27, Seat B. Fred Wood has been absolutely a great, great representative for us here in Southern Idaho, and he wishes you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Representative Fred Wood. And the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce at 1177 7th Street in Heyburn. These are wonderful people working with and for you. Sarah Seymour and the whole crew, Merry Christmas to the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. And Mountain Transmissions. These are good, good people at 1146 East Main in Burley. I'm telling you what, if you've got trouble with your transmission, they offer free towing, free diagnostic, and free estimates. Call them today at 678-9110. Mountain Transmissions. And Senator Kelly Anthon, another great guy, Senator of District 27, says thank you for all your support, and he urges you to go out and enjoy the Christmas season with your families. Merry Christmas from Senator Kelly Anthon. There you go. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zebediah. How are you? Merry Christmas to you.
Well, my dear, dear friend, for a long time, Merry Christmas right back at you. What can I do for you, Bob?
Well, I just like to comment on that stupid woman that has no sense at all.
Well, go ahead.
She doesn't even deserve a skunk or a porcupine.
Well, there's such a thing as having some class, and then there's such a thing as just being absolutely without any class or culture. And to do and write about what she did just shows me that there are some very sick people on the left.
She's worse than sick. She's ready to go in the casket and go in the grave.
Well, I just don't want to wish. I never wish anybody any ill will or bad health or whatever. I don't do that. But I hope that she is unemployed from her current position. That's what I'll say.
Have a good day, Zeb.
Merry Christmas, Bob. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Let's see. I want to remind you again, next Thursday, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant. Don't forget, 611 North Overland and Burley for the old-fashioned Denny's Christmas. And it's going to be from 8 to 11 while I'm on the air over there. Prizes, Christmas carols, music, Ashley Ludlow. It's going to be great. Don't miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Your house, you got a lovely tree. I called to tell you, a lot of these people on the left, whenever they talk, I have relatives who are pretty far left, too. I have found that when they go off on their gibberish and they go off running off at the mouth and trying to persuade you, well, more or less bully you into believing and recognizing that they're right, the more you ignore them, the madder they get.
Yeah.
Because you're not paying attention. Now, I'm not going to say you have to ignore everything they say because they are a threat. However, I don't pay him any credence. I don't pay him any kind of anything unless it's something that I deem that really needs to be paid attention to my safety or safety of my family. Other than that, I just ignore them a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what, Riley? I agree with what you're saying, but then on a program such as this, where you don't hear stories like this from the general news media because they're too lazy to go out and do their work, whether it's CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, or whatever. And when I hear stories like this, I want you, the public, to know that we've got some really evil people out in our midst, and they need to be addressed.
I agree with you. I be honest with you, I was just able to turn my radio on, and so I didn't hear the whole thing. But that's one thing that just gets me about the liberal left is that they always have something ignorant, vile to say about somebody that they're opposing.
Yeah.
But yet, you're right. If it was a conservative writer or somebody to put their opinion out, yeah, there'd be hell to pay.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no way to stop the criticism and the backlash and there's just no way to stop it.
Riley, I always appreciate your calls in the morning, and may I wish to you and your family a very Merry Christmas, young man. Thank you very much.
You too. One of these days when I got time, I'll stop in and see you.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to get this in because what Macron had done in France with gas and gas taxes going up over $7 a gallon, the middle class, they were going broke. Now, think about this, and I'm not exaggerating one little bit. If the same theory was applied here by the left, and if Democrats get back in power again, hold on to your billful, because they, the Democrats and the liberals in this country, want to follow in lockstep with what's going on over in France with Macron and the imposing of a gas tax that would elevate our gas, some have said, over $10 a gallon. Now, the middle class said, this is enough. And fathers, mothers, grandfathers and grandmothers, aunts and uncles, they went out and honestly, they rioted. And would I, in their position? You're doggone right. And Macron announced that the government is suspending the gas tax that has caused the whole country to be widespread with violence and chaos. And necessarily so. This green, stupid climate change / global warming, whatever you want to call it, movement is nothing more than a control factor of the people. It's killing economies. It would kill ours. There is no justification for this. We are seeing and living in the cleanest times of our lives. And I am sick and tired of always rolling back, cutting back. Do this to conserve. Don't do that. Suffer a little bit. Suffer a little bit? No, suffer forever. And I'm glad that the people in France, and I mean this, absolutely said to Macron, no. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's get a weather forecast on here. And then I want to talk to you, PETA. There's no shortage of stupid people. And we'll talk about PETA in a few minutes. You're not going to believe some of the phrases that you and I say and that our mothers and dads and grandparents have said since way back when. Now they want them to become obsolete, and you shouldn't be allowed to say these phrases, according to PETA. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Right now, I want to bring the weather to you, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. These are wonderful, wonderful people that will just absolutely help your hearing health care needs. Please, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Hunsaker and Dr. Mitchell, all of them located at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call and make an appointment, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Relatively nice weather, but it is going to be cold for the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Going to be nice and calm, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 31. Tonight, some clouds will be rolling into the valley, and we are looking at a low of 13. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, high of 27. Expecting an overnight low of 17. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be for the rest of the week and into the weekend. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 28, mostly sunny and mid-30s for Friday and Saturday, and even for Sunday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth.
Gina, thank you. Great job. And, of course, don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology. They promise to provide comprehensive treatment for hearing loss. They have many, many treatment options. Call for an appointment today at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, Zeb. It's me again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, might I recommend the alternate PETA, the other PETA? People eating tasty animals.
Okay, Rodney. Thank you. Let me get into that story, old buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, catch you later.
What PETA is doing, I've worked with these people, not worked with them. I mean, I've worked against them, and I've been on panel discussions against them and the Humane Society for the United States, another great group of crackpots and know-nothings. Well, now they want to stop the use of phrases that we have said since, good heavens, I can't even imagine when they started. Phrases like, bring home the bacon. Well, now PETA is saying, no, you can't say bring home the bacon because it's a reference to animals and animal agriculture. You should say bring home the bagels. And then they got all bent out of shape about don't put all your eggs in one basket. Oh, no. PETA says you can't say that anymore. You should just say don't put all your money in one basket. And then they said that the old phrase, well, that's like killing two birds with one stone. Oh, no, that shows violence against animals, and we can't have that. It's not acceptable. And so they're trying to work it out so that you and I would be held accountable for using those phrases. Oh, my. So, I personally am going to say, I hope you have a great job and everything goes well so you can bring home the bacon. And I certainly hope you make a lot of money and you diversify ways that you are going to save it. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. And, of course, don't forget that anything else, like if you're out bird hunting and you can kill two birds with one stone, that saves on your arm. I'm not going to quit. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. They're located at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. There is one sharp guy, really, really a nice guy, and very knowledgeable. And 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, same thing. And then the Napa location. They are your premier Bobcat and Doosan equipment sales, service, and rental dealership. They've got all the Bobcats at a special deal right now. 0% interest up to 60 months. Woo! On all the Bobcats. Equipment rentals, retail equipment sales at Berry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You know, I wouldn't listen to a thing Peter said because I think they're nuts anyhow. They spend more money on destroying things than they do building up this nation.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're just a waste of time.
Yeah, but you see, Jerry, you got to admit this, that when they come out and they make stupid statements like this, there is a percentage of the audience and Americans that go in lockstep with them. And that's who they're appealing to, is perhaps those that are going to go along in agreement. So all that's said by them is not just wasted because they know they're going to get a certain amount of crackpots to agree with them.
Well, they'll get a little bit more money in their bank, I'm sure of that, which they'll just waste anyhow. They don't do any good for the animals in any way, I think.
No. Absolutely.
That's my opinion anyway.
No, I agree with you, and
correctness all over again.
Yeah.
Just another way of saying it, and as far as I'm concerned, political correctness is absolutely dead because it's ridiculous what they're trying to do.
Have you ever really, Jerry, just a minute, let me ask you a question. Have you ever, in the last, let's say 5 or 6 years, when political correctness really has reared its ugly head more so than ever before, have you, Jerry Voss, ever been in a circumstance where you thought, oops, I better not say this, or did you just go ahead and say it anyway?
I just go ahead and say it anyhow. I'm Jerry Voss, and Jerry's going to be as politically correct as I can be, and that's not at all.
Okay. I love it. Thanks, Jerry. God bless you, man.
Hey, you have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
All right, sir. I agree with him. You know, I remember a couple of circumstances before I retired from the rodeo business, and a couple of committees and a couple of committee men that, they were so afraid that one or two individuals in their stands, their audience, were going to be offended. And I guess I was at a point in my life that I wasn't hungry anymore, and I was going to do things as they were perceived as right before and as I perceive them to be right now. And I'm not going to be politically correct. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And when some of these people say, well, we don't know if you should mention that or not, I went ahead and did it anyway. Because I don't believe in covering things up. I believe that if you're going to give a honest appraisal of what's happening, what took place, or what people are watching, you should tell them. And I wasn't at a point where that job, per se, was going to be the end all for me if I got fired or canned and lost that money. And I wasn't worried about that at all. But I am worried about being honest. And I am worried about being and giving you an honest appraisal of stories on this program. And PETA and the likes of the Humane Society of the United States, one of the biggest graft and corrupt organizations in this country, where very, very minimal cents of every dollar, very minimal, goes actually to animal welfare. The rest is all put in the pockets of the fat cats. And I don't mean four-legged. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Holy cow. I mean, lightning has struck the Washington Redskins football team. 2 weeks ago, they lost their starting quarterback, Alex Smith, with a broken leg. So, run in the reserves, and the reserve quarterback last night, number 2 man, broke his leg. Holy smokes. I mean, if you think back to Joe Theismann, and he was a quarterback for the Redskins, I think that team alone, the Washington Redskins, have had more quarterbacks with more broken legs than anybody I can recall in recent history. Well, they lost another one last night. So enter a guy that hasn't played quarterback for a long time. The poor guy was out of sync and everything else, and I felt really sorry for him. And he did make some pretty good plays. But they're down to the water boy. They told him to go get some shoulder pads on last night. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires to meet and tough out anything on the road, the mud, the slush, the ice, the snow, everything. By golly, they got the best in tires and all the best of tread designs. Oh, yeah, all the sizes for your car, pickup, and SUV. Absolutely. And they've got the studdable winter LT SUV tire called the WinterCat SST. Increased stability, advanced winter traction. Oh, check it out. Talk to Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy, my buddy on Overland in Berlin. By the way, I think I owe him about 37 steak dinners. Anyhow, don't forget to stop in and see the best and work with the best at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. Okay, what have we got happening for the rest of the morning? Next hour, I am really looking forward to having Frosty Woolridge on the air. He wrote an excellent article about totally shut down all immigration into the United States right now, and I agree with him. Then we've got Kate Rogge coming up talking about a cow sale. We've got Vic over to Stoats Ag. We've got Dr. History. We've got Attorney Jonathan Wood. We got a whole bunch of things coming on. And again, a quick reminder, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant next Thursday on the 13th for our program and the old-fashioned Denny's Christmas. We're going to have Christmas carols, music by Ashley Ludlow, Santa Claus, Loot in the Boot to help needy families, prizes for you. My goodness, don't miss it. Denny's old-fashioned Christmas party next Thursday, December 13th. Right now, Old Wheels is chomping on the bit. We're going to send it back over to him. We're going to have the news from CBS. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't you go away. Good morning and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, December the 4th. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today for the best of tires for your winter driving. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word, Wheels for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, they are always at your disposal. Don't forget, if you're cleaning things up, you've got Christmas at your house this year. 49 people are going to be coming in. Oh, my goodness, you better get a dumpster. They come in various sizes. Clean out the living room. Clean out the den. Just clean out everything. They've got dumpsters that you order. They come out with them. You fill them up. They come and get them. All of this and more. Great service at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to also there is going to be a great Christmas party at Four Paws Bed and Bath Saturday, December 15th from 12 to 2. This is where you can take your pets into the Christmas party and get a free picture taken with Santa Claus. Take your Dobermans and your great big St. Bernards and put them up on Santa's lap so they can all enjoy Merry Christmas. There's going to be free food for everybody, and you can spin the wheel to win prizes. A lot of fun for you and your pets. At Four Paws Christmas Party at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West 200 South of Rupert, 438-4444 on December 15th. I'll tell you, that ought to be a lot of fun to be there. I'll guarantee you that. Let's see what else have we got cooking here. Oh, if Frosty can wait just a couple of seconds, I've also got to tell you about our dear friends at Burley Veterinary Hospital, Absolutely, 2869 Overland in Burley. And it's a real privilege to work with the pet owners and the livestock owners and keep your pets and livestock healthy. They look forward to working with you next year, but they wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Burley Veterinary Hospital at 2869 Overland in Burley. Well, I got to get right into this. I'm running a little bit late, and I want to compliment this man and really extend a hearty, yep, you did it again, great article called Totally Shut Down All Immigration into the United States by Frosty Woldridge. Here he is. Amen, Frosty. Well written.
Well, thank you very much, Zeb, and good morning to you and everyone listening. I think it's very important. This piece has been published across 20 news service websites across America, and conservative websites, liberal websites, and libertarian and independent, and it's getting a tremendous amount of attention. No one's had the gumption or the guts to really call for a complete shutdown on all immigration. And I really explain it in this thing, in this latest piece, and you can get it at newswithviews.com. It's also over at CapitolHillOutsider.com. which is right there in the heart of Washington, D.C. And for those of you who appreciate the writers there at CapitolHillOutsider.com, one of them is James Hall. And James Hall has a piece this morning that's headlining also alongside of my piece, and it's titled, "Hating America is the New Normal." And what he does is he goes after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Latino girl who is about 26 years old, who just took over a House of the United States House of Representatives seat. And this lady's calling for socialism. She thinks the three branches of government are the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
I mean, this lady is completely out of touch with what's going on, and she has never read the Constitution.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Frosty. She's not out of touch. She's not out of touch. The woman is absolutely not an intellectual smart enough to figure things out and understand her schooling that she supposedly had. She's dumb.
Well, and that's what James Hall said, and here's what I'm just quoting him. Cortez is an idiot, and her followers are doomed to a life of subjugation to a tyrant. Libtards' scorn is based upon a lack of respect for individual liberty. The downward descent into a bottomless pit of lunacy is synonymous with the aspirations of extreme progressives like this Cortez lady. Such enlightened true believers are dopamine junkies who lack the ability for rational reflection and creative thought, unquote. So that's exactly what James Hall said, and it's a brilliant analysis of Cortez and anybody who would vote for her.
You know, I really want to compliment you for your years of service. And when I say service, I'm talking about service to the American public, of informing them about all the illegal aliens and refugee problems coming into America. So yesterday, I happened to come across the story that was used last night on Tucker Carlson. I found this story thanks to a good friend of mine back in Washington, D.C., about 6 hours before it came out on the air last night, that 63% of illegal aliens living in America, now remember that number, 63%, they are taking over $130 billion with a B dollars a year to live on our welfare programs. Think this ought to stop? Yup, I guess it's time.
Well, it's more than a time to stop it, and of course, that money, the billions and billions of dollars, that's every year. That cycles through every year.
Yep.
And it's about $296 billion a year across 15 federal agencies. And we're paying, we're footing this bills, folks. It's our tax dollars, every one of us that are working our tail feathers off every day and go to work and come home and try to feed our families and pay our rent or pay our mortgage. We're being usurped by not only the illegal aliens that are working and taking this 63% of extraordinary taxpayer dollars, but it's the employers of all these illegal aliens that are getting away with absolute murder because they're the ones that are making this happen, and you and I are the ones that are paying for this. And so, thank you, Zeb. Again, this is a lonely road to point out all the discrepancies and all the fraud that's going on in the United States House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. But it's endemic now to what's going on up there. It's so deep and it's so wide. And you name some of the ones, of course, Pelosi and a Maxine Waters and a Hudson out of California and certainly a Hank Johnson out of Georgia and a John Lewis out of Georgia. A Michael Bennett out of the Colorado and a Corey Gardner. They're all complicit in this because they're all doing absolutely nothing to stop it. Whether it's the anchor babies or whether it's the visa fraud that's going on, whether it's the unsecured borders to the south of us. This is all going on because of the people that we've elected into the House and the U.S. Senate of America, and they're doing absolutely nothing to serve us, the American people.
Well, okay, stop right there, because there's where I want to interject something else in total agreement with what you said. Here we're talking about $130 billion with a B dollars. I can't even fathom that kind of a number. Going to help welfare for 63% of the illegal aliens that live here in this country, which are millions upon millions, and yet we can't find the goods and services to better supply income and better programs for our veterans, our elderly, our physically challenged, our mentally ill, our orphans. Why can't we take care of us first instead of sending money to people that aren't even citizens?
Again, what's happening in this country is we're going so far off base. And I'm looking at the piece that was written by Paul Bedard, December 3. The consensus firms that 63% of non-citizens are on welfare. That's over 4.6 million households, and he does a breakdown of the cost to us into the billions of dollars. And he's saying it's nearly at this point 4,370,385 illegal alien households are tapping into the welfare systems that are supposed to be and are meant for American citizens. And here we are with our veterans are not being cared for. We got the homeless. We got the 90,000 homeless out there in the streets of Los Angeles. Another 11,000 in the streets of San Francisco. Another 10,000 here in the streets of Denver, Colorado. Zeb, I don't know how I don't know, other than just you have to vote these people out that are in there, or we're simply going to continue to bear this burden and bear this cost of this massive welfare fraud going on against our tax dollars and against our citizens and in favor of illegal aliens.
You know, and you say vote them out. But honestly, Frosty, what is the motivating factor? You live back in Colorado. You rub elbows with people in the Denver area and around that whole extended area of Denver. What is the motivating factor today for somebody to look at politics like what was in Venezuela with socialism and see the demise, see the people rubbling in garbage trying to find something to eat, all the diseases, no money, no economy? Why? Why do they want to put the United States into that kind of a socialistic downfall? I just don't understand it.
Well, again, you have to look at persons like Bernie Sanders, who is a socialist. You really have to look at half the country that is democratic and follows the Democrats and are members of the Democratic Party. The ethos of the Democratic Party is socialism. Democrats are socialists. They want to give the earned monies of those of us who work, those of us who went to school, those of us who got educated, those who went to vocational tech school, those of us who are putting in our 8 to 10 and 12 hours a day. And they want to give our money to those who are sitting home watching TV. And again, there's 44 million people on food stamps, folks. And I don't know if anyone can appreciate this, but there's no way that 44 million people that are living on food stamps and Section 8 housing can't go out and get a job, can't go out and work. But in fact are just sitting on their butts, doing nothing. And we somehow allowed our legislators up there in the House and the Senate to create this welfare program that they're all utilizing, and they're not being forced. Why aren't all of those legislators up there making workfare for welfare? You should absolutely have to work for your welfare.
Well, and I don't know how it is in Golden, Colorado. I've only been there like 4 or 5 times when I've been doing the National Western in Denver, etc. But I know the area very, very well. And I would assume, and tell me if I'm wrong, that if you were to get on your bike this morning and start taking a tour down this main street or that main street or any main street or any side street with businesses, you're going to look up at the marquees and you're going to see help wanted, please inquire within. It is now a national sign on almost all the marquees, help wanted. There's a lot of jobs out there, but the problem is America's lost its work ethic.
as a matter of fact, James Hall also wrote that in that piece where Cortez is such an idiot. I mean, she's a lunatic. Whether she's a lunatic by choice or a lunatic by limitations of her IQ, I'm not sure. But you're right. Actually, here in Golden, you can start off at $12 an hour at McDonald's. $12 an hour. I mean, and those jobs are there, and there's no question that you can go out and secure those jobs. And obviously, under this extraordinary economy, under Donald Trump, the jobs are there. But again, you have a certain segment of this country that literally has been so spoiled from the success of the World War II generation that built all the wealth of this country by working their tail feathers off. And even the baby boomers, which you and I are a part of, I worked my tail feathers off my whole life. I'm still working my tail feathers off, and I'm almost 72 years old. So I don't understand, because work is honorable. Work is a part of how you function and contribute to your society. And work is the only way that we're going to be able to maintain this civilization and all that goes with it. And that's the ability to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, to have transportation for yourself, and to house yourself. It has to do with work. It's the most honorable thing you can do. And so I don't understand those people and the X generation and the rest of them that are just goofing off and think that's the way to go, and then they think that socialism is going to save them. In the end, it won't, because if you think it will, look to Venezuela, and you will see where, literally, where socialism ends up.
Yeah, and there's another issue I want to talk about, and you wrote about this in your last article, and I think it absolutely should be emphasized, that we are bringing in people, or letting in people that are coming in. We don't know anything about their vaccination programs. We don't know anything about their family health, if any. We don't know anything because there's no courthouse records. We don't know anything, and we're letting them live in our society and expose our children, our grandchildren, to diseases that we thought once were put down forever. Well, they're not. They're not. And they're coming back. And after I do a commercial break, I want you to discuss that, if you would, okay?
I will do that.
All right.
Got it right here.
Thanks, Frosty. I appreciate it. Right now, I want to remind everybody about Hearts for Seniors. Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors with Holly Rowe. A wonderful idea for seniors that want to stay at home. Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. The number to call, remember also, 312-5715. And they provide personal assistance in helping with meal preparation, or maybe some kind of daily task that needs to be performed, or light housekeeping, whatever it is, for seniors that want to stay at home. Find out more. Call 312-5715. Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. Also, a quick reminder about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary. They are so community-oriented and so helpful, and they wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. Joel Heward, his family, and his staff at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636, for the pre-planning of funerals, so that you have a say in what's going to happen for you. Please get that information. They would love to help you, and they always treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with the phone number 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. In just a minute, we're going to return and have more with Frosty Woldridge, but I also want to remind you, I know a business that absolutely is ready to serve you for the Christmas holiday season. Maybe you need some new carpet. Well, they've got all the carpet. They've got all the luxury vinyl planks. That is so neat and makes a house look so good. They've got all the mattresses on sale. They've got all the dining room sets and the bedroom sets, and oh my goodness, what a great, great supply of recliners. You've got to get in and try one on. Stop into the people that really want to beautify and comfortize your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Well, we're on the air with a very dear friend of mine that I have the utmost of respect for, and that's Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Frosty, let's go back to this disease situation. I had polio. I make no bones about it. I had polio before the Salk vaccine was perfected. And I urge everyone to get their vaccinations because I don't want anybody to suffer through what I had to. But yet it is coming back, a strain of which has now infected over hundreds and hundreds of young children. And that's just one of the diseases we have to worry about. Take it from there.
Okay, well, in this piece, and you will get the piece, again, at newswithviews.com or CapitolHillOutsider.com. And I've written about this before, but this is the latest on this. We've got these new polio strains coming in from these African immigrants, such as from Sudan and from Congo and from Ethiopia and from Somalia. Those are documented facts, and you could go to the CDC, if you will, the Center for Disease Control. But we've also got MDR tuberculosis coming in from the Latino immigrants coming up through Mexico and South America and Central America. And I want you to understand this. Multi-drug resistant tuberculosis now is killing 2 million people worldwide. And so you have to ask yourself, do you want these immigrants coming into our country? And noticing the fact that the U.S. Border Patrol states that 1,500 illegal aliens jump the borders successfully every night and come into our country without being checked for any of these diseases. We've also got leprosy. It's also known as Hansen's disease. And now there are 11 clinics on the East Coast because of the leprosy coming in from people from Asia, like from Bangladesh, from India. And we may be having them coming in from China also. We're not sure. And again, these diseases are going to affect us. And as I said, and I've written about it, it's documented, this leprosy now has 11 of clinics there on the East Coast, and it literally spreads by food. If they're a food preparer, if they're cutting, a leprosy person is cutting up your tomatoes or your onions for your Big Mac or your whatever fast food, or in a restaurant, you are now being susceptible to catching leprosy. We've also got lice coming in, and the heads of all of these people coming in from the countries like Central and South America, like Honduras and El Salvador. So here's the latest. Fox News reported that over a third of the migrants are being treated for health-related issues.
Yep.
60% of them suffer respiratory infections. There are 3 cases of tuberculosis, 4 cases of HIV/AIDS, 101 cases of lice and skin infections, and 4 cases of chickenpox, and serious cases of hepatitis because of the unsanitary conditions in which they're living, and that's how they live. Migrants could start a typhus epidemic and bring in life-threatening Chagas. Now, Chagas disease, and I was in South America, I was susceptible to it. You better believe I was doing everything I could to make sure, because I was down there for a year on my bike in a tent. And it's epidemic. It literally affects 14 million South Americans, and it kills 50,000 people a year. And Chagas disease it's a parasite similar to malaria and Lyme's disease, and it's incurable, just as malaria and Lyme's disease is also incurable. So do we want those people coming into our country with these diseases in their bodies? And of course, you can't even detect Chagas disease. You can't detect it. And so that's what's coming in. And then going beyond the diseases, Zeb, in my article, the criminal element.
Yep.
The criminal element coming into this country is the MS-13 gang members, and they're the ones that are distributing $120 billion of drugs across all of our 48 states and into Canada. Into Alaska. And then you talk about the toll to us, the American people. This was reported by another top reporter, Kelly Nelson, and I'm quoting, America's civilian terror toll within the borders of the United States increases at a rate of more than 12 dead Americans a day because illegal aliens have murdered more people in the United States than were killed in 9/11, plus all of our dead so far in the Afghan and Iraq wars combined. Illegals have murdered more than 75,468 people documented inside the United States since 9/11. That's almost 4,200 per year, and that's a low estimate, unquote. I got to ask you, why are we allowing legal and illegal immigration to continue into our country? And that's why I'm saying we need a total shutdown of all immigration in the United States, enforce the laws on the books, and stop this from happening to our citizens.
And build the wall.
And build the wall.
I'll be right back. Don't go away, Frosty. We got about 3 minutes left. Want to remind everybody with Merry Christmas wishes from, of course, our friends at Nature Nursery at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley. Home decor items, fresh-cut trees, and they can flock your Christmas trees, too. Oh, they've got it all. At Nature Nursery in Burley, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Rogge Auction with Ron, Cade, and Jed, the best doggone auctioneers around. And if you're selling a farm or farm equipment, remember them. Call them at 431-0074, Rogge Auction. And last but not least, Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Doug can fix anything, and he does. And he wants you to remember the seniors at Christmas time and remember the real meaning of the season. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. All of these folks wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Frosty, let's end the program this morning by talking about positive signs in this very negative issue. I am seeing, I am hearing, and I am reading much more from our side being exposed to the public as of late, and I contribute a lot of that because of people like you, and primarily you, getting the word out for many, many years. What are your thoughts? Are you seeing some positive effects about stopping this illegal alien problem?
Well, that's a tall question. You and I have been doing this now for well over, 17, 18 years together.
Yep.
We've been bringing the facts, and I know you've got other top experts that you have interviewed that are chiming in the same reports, the same facts, the same literally crisis, and they're exposing it, and they're certainly analyzing it, and they're reporting it to your audience, which is huge across America. At the same time, these same audiences are getting the Fox News reports. And for the life of me, I don't know why Fox hasn't had me on their show, because Tucker Carlson, I would give him a load of reality check, and he needs that on that show. But so does Jesse Waters and the rest of them. And so, are we seeing something? To tell you the truth, I'm not seeing any good signs. Again, the 1,500 illegals are still jumping the border every night. We've got over 100,000 legal immigrants coming in every 30 days. We've got the diseases that are coming in with them. We've got the cash transfers, over $70,000 a year going out of our country because of all these immigrants, both legal and illegally. So we're being bled, and we're paying, again, the 63% of all this unbelievable welfare usage by all of these illegals. And you see the 12 dead Americans daily, 75,000 in the last 20-odd years. So I'm not so sure we can say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, because I don't see anybody in Congress stopping the anchor babies. I don't see anybody stopping and enforcing the internal laws for stopping of the hiring of illegal aliens by illegal alien employers. So I'm sorry to report, I don't see anything. We're not getting the wall, and so I don't see anything particularly improving. And that's That's what I see.
What we need to do, though, is employ the facts much more openly on what it's costing each and every American citizen, what's coming out of their pockets. And when you start using terms of $130 billion a year out of our taxpayer dollars to go to people that are not residents, they are illegal aliens, and they're living on our dime, that has got to be a point that we can't diminish. We've got to keep telling people, instead of helping our veterans, our elderly, our physically challenged, our mentally ill, our orphans, whatever, it's going to someone that's not even a citizen. And we have to keep harping on that fact.
Well, we do, and each of you listening today, I just called up Michael Bennet and Cory Gardner, my two senators, and Perlmutter, my House member. You've got to call them up. You've got to tell them. You've got to write to them. You've got to be telling them that you are displeased with their lack of action. And I just called up yesterday Michael Bennett's office. I said, I'm tired of this. And I said, here are the facts. And then she duly wrote them down. Same with the Gardner. There was a mail secretary and took the facts down. Again, not only do I talk and I write, but I call up my senators, I call up my House member, and I say, this is what I want to see happen. I want these anchor babies stopped. Simply introduce a bill into the House and into the Senate and stop anchor babies, because I'm tired of paying for them. And stop employers from hiring illegal aliens, because it's against the law. Just simply enforce the law. And that's what each of us and every one of you has to do. It's personal action. Again, this constitutional republic is not a spectator sport. It's not a spectator governance. You, the individual citizen, have got to get on the phone, got to get on the typewriter, got to get on the computer, or get on a piece of paper and tell your representatives and all of literally your papers what you are angry about, what you want to see change, and give solutions. And that's the key here. You have to take action.
Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado, a dear friend for a long time, and I extend to you and your lovely wife Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you, Frosty.
Thank you, and Godspeed, my friend.
Thank you. Take care. Great friend. I appreciate him being on our program. I want to talk about some other great friends, too, and that includes Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they've got all the snowmobiles. Oh, yeah, they're ready for all the fun outside in the angel dandruff. I'm telling you what, it's out there, and they say, come on in and take a look at all our snowmobiles and take a look at our snowplows for your ATVs. I bought one a couple of years ago. Best doggone thing I'd bought. I mean, I have used it every time there's a little snow on the ground. I'm out there and I'm moving it, let me tell you. They've got a great accessory department and service department. Oh, boy, yeah, they'll keep you running. Stop in and see the best. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is true. This is where the fun is sold. You stop over and see those good folks today. Wheels, do we have Kate Rocky on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, thank you, Wheels. Great job. All right, we're going to go right now to the man with all the knowledge about the great big Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 3rd annual bred cow sale, a special sale coming up on Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock. Kate Rocky, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing good, doing good.
Well, you sound a little bit more chipper today than you did yesterday. I felt after I hung up the phone that you were in bed sleeping.
No. Vegas had me down a little yesterday, but I'm doing good now.
Well, anytime I don't like to go to Vegas, I'll be honest with you. That's one town that I'm not a real big fan of, but you're down there for the convention, you're booking rodeos, and you're also involved in the great big 3rd annual bred cow sale at Burley Livestock Sale Yard next Monday, December 10th. Give us a little background on it.
Zeb, I'm really excited about this sale. Just for the main fact of the quality of cattle that we're going to get to market on Monday. It's just a lot of quality cattle and a lot of opportunities for anybody that's needing cattle. I've got a lot of 1-iron sets, big strings. You can come to that sale, pick out young to old, and Tanner Moore and a guy can really put a good quality herd together there. That's in years past we just kind of put some cattle together, and I don't think we've ever had a year with the string of one iron quality cattle that we have this year. I mean, that's definitely for sure. There's a lot of genetics in these cattle, and like I said, just a good opportunity for anybody that's needing some cows.
Yeah, and we want to stress the fact, and I want you to do this, it's in addition to your regular Thursday sale. Tell everybody about Monday, December 10th.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something that we started last year, Zeb. We went to a different day on Monday, and that's really been fitting us. We're going to have 1,000 to 1,200 head of cows to sell on Monday, so we decided to switch our days so, it doesn't foul us up for our feeder sale every Thursday. So that is right. I mean, everybody mark that down. It is Monday, so a different day there. But, that way we can all just focus on the cows and market them. And this year, something different, too. We're also going to have about 12 head of bulls. CL Sipper's going to bring us some bulls. And, from everything I hear, he's had a lot of luck and a lot of good genetics with them. So, we'll sure set you up on Monday. We can get you a bull and all the cows you need. So it should be a pretty good day.
Kate, a lot of people probably are going to worry about, well, if it's a special sale, is the cafe going to be open? Can they get lunch there? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Paula's going to feed you. She'll be in there. It's really going to be just kind of like a normal Thursday on a Monday. Where the cafe will be open. You're going to see all the same faces over there. It just is Monday. But, yeah, sure, we'll feed you lunch and come on over.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. And what about if people have special questions? Is there a number they can call? What do they do?
Absolutely. You can always call the office, and that number is 678-4911, or you can always call my cell phone at 431-0074. So,
okay.
And if you can't get a hold of anybody there, you call Merv at 431-5735.
This is going to be a special event, and it's going to be next Monday, December 10th at 11 a.m. sharp at Burley Livestock Sale Yard. 3rd annual bred cow sale, special sale. Anything else about the sale that you want my listeners to know?
Just to stress the quality of cattle again. I'm extremely excited to see what this sale does this year. Like I said, we've pre-consigned all these cattle before they come in, and we're pretty much full. We've basically got the card set, and now we're ready to go. I'm just really excited to set a market for these bred cows, and I've had a lot of questions on what everything's worth, and I really think that Monday will set a market for these bred cows. So I'm extremely excited about it, and even if you're not looking for cows, come out and watch and check it out.
All right, there you go. A sharp young man, Cade Rogge. I got a lot of respect for him and Burley Livestock Sale Yard. 3rd annual bred cow sale, special sale next Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock. Cade, get back to signing contracts. We'll talk to you later.
You bet. Thanks, Zeb.
All right, take care. Good guy right there. I mean, man alive, he and Merv and everybody. I tell you, they're just really good people over at Burley Livestock. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see what else have we got here this morning. Oh, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Talk about good people. You have to include them in the conversation. They really care. They're responsive to your needs, dedicated, and very accessible. All you need to do is take it upon yourself to call the number and arrange an appointment so they can help you. Call 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Health insurance, life insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits for you, your family, and your business. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Good people. Oh my, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by our accounting services, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been serving the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years, and they are good. I'll guarantee you, Deanna and I have been so happy with their service to us, and they can do the same for you. And by the way, it's getting close to the end of the year. Make sure your tax records for your business are all ready to go. And don't forget, if you have questions, be sure and make an appointment at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Relatively nice weather, but it is going to be cold for the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Going to be nice and calm, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 31. Tonight, some clouds will be rolling into the valley, and we are looking at a low of 13. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, high of 27. Expecting an overnight low of 17. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be for the rest of the week and into the weekend. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 28, mostly sunny and mid-30s for Friday and Saturday, and even for Sunday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Absolutely. Well done, Gina. Thank you. And don't forget, be thinking right now, you better hurry about your year-end tax planning, and they can help you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The very best of tax return preparation, business consulting, retirement planning, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Remember, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Holy cow, right now we get a chance to visit with a very, very dear friend of ours. And, of course, it's Vic over at Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. And it's true, they make your life easier. Good morning, Vic. How are you doing today?
Top of the morning to you, Zeb.
You sound like you got a little bit of cold. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm how do I say? I'm a creature of comfort, but I'm also a creature of habit, and so I always like to put my Christmas lights up in the snow and when it's blowing, and it makes it so much more. You're in the season and you're in the element, and I caught a little bit of a cold from putting up my Christmas lights this weekend, but it's looking very sparkly and very glittery and looks good. So
you're not like
a little bit of cold, but I'm doing okay.
You're not like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation, where you get up to the top rung on the ladder and you're stapling the wires of the lights, but you also stapled the jacket sleeve to the side of the house, and then you slip. You're not one of those kind of guys, are you?
Well, I've been called the Griswold for it, and when I turn on my lights, sometimes the power company calls me and says, "Hey, what's going on?" You have to kick it in overdrive just to accommodate the additional electrical use from my home. But not that bad this year. But I have decorated quite a bit, like Clark Griswold in Christmas Vacation. But yeah, you're right.
It's got to be
that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it merry. It's getting into it and. Some people don't like Christmas, some people do, but I'm a big supporter of it, and I think it's a time for us to if you look at it in this way, it's a time of giving and blessings and just being blessing others is it puts you in the spirit. It's not about the gifts.
Absolutely. It's got to be a little tough for a guy from proverbial warm country of Arizona to come up here. Woo, culture shock.
Well, the first year was tough. 2016, when we had our first winter, I thought I looked at my zip code about 4 or 5 times to make sure I didn't move to the tundra, because it was January, it was minus 22, and of course we have the first Friday, and this Friday is our customer lunch. We cook food. Sometimes it's hamburgers, sometimes it's pork chops, but so the first time we did it, first Friday, it was this time it was in January. I'm a man of my word. So I'm out there cooking pork chops at minus 22 degrees.
Oh.
That was a very much a eye-awakening moment.
Let me ask you this about, I am so happy with my John Deere compact tractor, and I'm not much of a mechanic. I'm one of these kind of guys, if the key fits in the slot and it turns to the right and the engine turns over, we are really doing well. I'm not much of a mechanic, but when you have these tractors, what kind of preparation do you need to do or take for going into the winter months when they're sitting fairly dormant?
Well, the whole thing is, keep them out of the weather. If you can put them under in some coverage or put a tarp over them, But that's good. But the other thing is to always get your, especially if it's a older one where you don't know for sure how strong the antifreeze is. They're pretty simple tests where you can go down to, we sell them here, or you can buy them, O'Reilly's and some of the other places that sell. But you can just take and open up your cap, make sure it's not warm, it hasn't been run, and just check see how strong the solution is still for the antifreeze to make sure that you can accommodate minus 20 degrees just in case. But other than that, if you're going to use it, then I would make sure your antifreeze is good. And then the other thing I would do is get a block heater. So you can buy those aftermarkets, but Deere makes one that actually screws in right into the side of the block, and you can plug it in. It's like an electric blanket. Keeps it nice and warm and toasty, and when you need it, it's ready to go.
What about additives for the diesel? Is that also a very important issue?
If you're on the elements, there is a fuel conditioner we recommend that we buy, that we actually offer here. I would just make sure that be careful what you buy. There's a lot of aftermarket stuff that's not good. Actually, will clog your injectors, clog your fuel systems. But we have it's a John Deere approved, which is huge because they put a lot of money into their, as far as their attachments and also their additives and anything like that to make sure it's going to do the job. But we do sell an additive here that will help you keep from gelling up during the winter.
Vic, you are so community-oriented, and last time I had you on the air, and I said we were going to hit this every week going up to Christmas about the toys. Right. I want you to hit that if you would, please.
Absolutely. So a couple things I'd like to... So you've heard the word karma. You've heard what goes around comes around. The other one is what ye shall sow, ye shall reap. So I'd like to say that this time of year, it's our opportunity. If you've been blessed, I think that God blesses those, and if He does bless you and enriches you, then it's time to give back. And our community, they definitely gave this weekend, and we had a great toy drive. And we just took, and I was blessed this morning. One of our coworkers here, Rudy and Ramirez, and I went down and we donated all the toys, pallets of toys that we donated from our toy drive on Saturday. And so I'd just like to thank the community for giving so much in such a time of need for the toy drive for the Christmas Council. And so we're going to make a lot of kids happy. And of course, we had the Grinch here and Santa. It was a great day, and everybody had a great time. And the other thing I want to talk about was the Minico FFA dinner on Saturday night. So this toy drive was Saturday morning, and the dinner was on Saturday night. So it was a great weekend. And I was glad to see, as my mom would say, and she was Scottish and Irish, and our grandfather was Basque, so I'm a sheep chaser from way back. And so she always say you have to unite the clans. So it was good to see Agri-Service represented there. They donated a tractor. We donated 2 tractors. Scott Stevens and Gary Beaver both bought them. We raised $23,000 for the Minico FFA, just between our 2 dealerships, and then all the other people that some of the businesses, they all contributed and bought stuff, and it was just amazing. I mean, I had so many kids from the FFA coming up and just with tears in their eyes, and that's a blessing. If you haven't given, that's the true blessing of Christmas, is giving back to the community.
Let me ask you, are you, on behalf of Stoats Equipment, doing anything else for Christmas, the holiday season, that you want to amplify here on the air this morning? Feel free to take the floor, because I'm very impressed with your community service and you're helping others in the area.
Well, there's so many things. My whole thing is that, we're just an involved and committed company. I love the fact... I've been with our company 31 years and started out as a technician and worked my way up, but it's never changed. It's never faltered when it comes to giving back the community. So I'm just saying that what we need to do is that, it takes a village to raise a child. The same thing with our community. There's so many things we can do united. We're stronger when we're united. There's so many things that we can do so much better if we're all pitching in together. And so, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And whether it's a festival of trees or any program, any fundraiser, any event going on, just get involved and donate your time. It doesn't always have to be monetary. Some of the best blessings or giving is your own time, and I think that people don't realize and they go, a dollar doesn't matter. Well, a lake or a river or an ocean it started with a raindrop, so your contribution does matter, and whatever you can give this is the time to do it and give back, because you know what? We have been blessed, and if you've been blessed, give back and bless somebody else.
Absolutely. I tell you, folks, they are the best. Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. Our good friend Vic every week on the Ag Minutes of Stoats Equipment. They make your life easier. And I get a chance to do it again. Merry Christmas, Vic. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas, Ed, and everybody else.
All right, God bless. Thank you very much. I just really am high on those folks. The service and the personality and the people that work there, absolutely great. Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer. Okay, now coming up in just a very few minutes, we're going to have our dear friend Dr. History come on the program. It's Tuesday, and I know he's going to have another amazing story. We also want to extend Christmas wishes from Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West of Paul, and another location at Red Cap Corner on Kimberly Road. Your Zomatic dealer for all your irrigation needs. Don't forget, they'll get you wet at Butte Irrigation. And Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. Number to call, 678-7324. They want to thank all their customers for the business this past year of selling quality seed to quality people. Golden Valley Warehouse wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. And Snake River Auto Body and Paint. I'm really high on these folks. Ken and Dan and the whole crew at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Number to call, 734-5790. Get a little ding in your four-wheeled wonder, they can fix it up brand new. Snake River Auto Body and Paint, and all of these folks wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. I love this time of the year. Okay, we are, as you probably are aware right now, going to have an old-fashioned Christmas at Denny's Restaurant on next Thursday, December 13th, and it's at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. We're going to have Christmas carols and prizes and Santa Claus and Loot in the Boot to help needy families. Ashley Ludlow's going to be singing. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't miss it. The old-fashioned Denny's Christmas next Thursday, December 13th, from 8 to 11 while I'm on the air over there, remote broadcast at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Okay, that brings us up to speed, and we're going to clear the slate for about 7 minutes and have the big boys from CBS come in and probably mess up everything we've put together, and then we will be back with Dr. History. Don't go away. Wheels, it's all yours. Oh, I could listen to that piano all day long. Good morning. Good morning again. Last hour, Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. And don't forget some of our really great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Don't forget, we had Kate on the air last hour. Don't forget that great big Burley Livestock Sale Yard presenting the 3rd annual Bred Cow Sale. Special sale next Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock. Over 1,200 head of good quality cows and heifers, top genetics, mostly from one iron cattle. And these are the best. Heifers, good solid cows of all ages. Phone Kate Rogge at 431-0074 or the Burley Livestock office at 678-9411. Cattlemen, you don't want to miss this sale next Monday, December 10th at 11 o'clock at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Here he is, and is it cold enough for you?
You know, the sun is shining, but it is cold.
You know, I'm going to have you back off of the mic a little bit. For some reason, man, you were coming in like a jet plane on a fighter deck.
A little loud, all right.
Good morning. Yeah, it's chilly outside.
It is. It's cold, but sun's shining, and, you know.
You still have livestock?
I do not have any horses anymore.
You sold everything?
I did.
You traded to the cause.
I know. I never thought the day would come.
Wow.
But I'm horseless.
And I'm even older than you.
I know.
What are we going to talk about today, dear friend?
We are going to talk about doctors in the Old West, but more specifically the female doctors.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to start with a quote here, okay? It says, higher education for women produces monstrous brains and puny bodies, abnormally active cerebration, and abnormally weak digestion.
Now, you're not looking for a comment, are you?
That is what they thought of for a woman that wanted to go into the medical field.
I am not going to touch that. You're on your own.
But, in the Old West, they were very, very stubborn about accepting female doctors.
Yeah.
So, women in the 1800s who really had a desire to help the sick, they studied, they worked. Excuse me. They struggled for places in medical schools, and after receiving their degrees, they studied, worked, and struggled to find a place to practice their vocation. Mm-hmm. So the Western frontier, they didn't have many doctors, so this provided really an opportunity to open a medical practice.
So maybe that TV series was formulated after one of these lady doctors. Doctor, what was it?
Dr. Quinn, yeah.
Medicine woman, wasn't it? Yeah.
But, it did not, however, assure that they would have patients. I mean, they may have come out here and opened up an office, but that didn't guarantee that they were going to have patients.
Yeah.
And for a while, it seemed that most trappers, miners, and immigrants would rather suffer and die than consult a woman doctor.
Why was that mindset?
I think it was just the attitude among the male doctors.
Oh.
But the lady doctor repairing a head wound on an injured farmer, she'd have to endure criticism. The male doctors didn't think that she should be there at all. And they actually hoped to prevent the women from entering the field of medicine. And they publicly chastised these women, and they actually referred to them as, quote, unnatural or lacking in the ability to know their place. Not good. And a protest actually by the male students at Harvard University in 1850 summed up kind of the position the men had. It said, quote, resolved that no woman of true delicacy would be willing in the presence of men to listen to the discussions of the subjects that necessarily come under the consideration of the student of medicine. Resolved that we object to having the company of any female forced upon us.
For some reason, I hope that everybody listening to this program this morning will not just all of a sudden tune in and think that we're talking about today. I got a feeling I'm going to get a lot of hate mail.
Okay, we're back to 1850, folks.
Okay, good,
long time ago.
Good.
And I've got to say, one of the very, very best doctors I had was a female doctor here in Burley. She was amazing. Okay. She was great. But, in the mid to late 19th century, as the country continued expanding beyond Independence, Missouri, they began to civilize the frontier. There were fewer than 600 female or women physicians in the United States, and 10% of those decided to follow the migration and come out and provide services for the immigrants. Now, these women who dared to defy the barriers in the medical profession, to attend school and to get a degree, they were convinced that settlers would eventually want their help. And they opened up offices in frontier towns, mining camps. The result of these few really courageous women braving hardship, it kind of changed the way society viewed the women's roles in society.
Let me ask you this question then real quick. What about the schools themselves? I mean, where was the icebreaker to let some of the women into the medical schools?
Well, it came, but not without resistance. So to get into the medical school was a real challenge.
Yeah.
Now, there's a doctor by the name of Eliza Cook, and she had a really strong impact on the male-dominated community in, not too far from here, Carson Valley, Nevada.
Really?
Men who felt women were, quote, not blessed with the temperament or disposition to be doctors. Well, they changed their minds after watching this Dr. Cook. She worked well. She was a tall, slender lady from Salt Lake City, Utah. She set broken bones. She performed operations. She delivered generations of babies in this small Nevada town. She was not only a skilled physician, but she also actually was a pharmacist. And a lot of them did that, back then. The doctors would make up their own mixture and concoctions.
That's what Doc Adams did on Gunsmoke.
He did, so we know that's true.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and she actually is considered to be the first woman doctor in Nevada, this Dr. Cook. Now, another daring female physician to practice in the American West was Dr. Minnie Howard. And after attending Kansas City Medical School, Dr. Howard established a practice in, actually not far from us, Zeb, Pocatello.
Really?
Pocatello, Idaho. Now, Dr. Howard established a practice there. She not only cared for the ailing in the booming gold mining camp, but also tended to the health needs of the Indians in the Fort Hall Indian Reservation. And actually, she was instrumental in building the Pocatello General Hospital.
Really?
Believe it or not, yeah.
Really?
But in time, the wild frontier would become civilized, and a lot of tough-minded women, doctors like Cook and Howard, would pour into the plains and paved the way, really, for professional women to come out. Now, in Cripple Creek, Colorado, there's a Dr. Susan Anderson, and she set up her practice to help save the lives of a lot of the injured miners. And there was a Dr. Stanford, and she was out in the wilds of Deadwood, South Dakota, and she had some patients you might recognize. Calamity Jane, Buffalo Bill Cody. She actually was their doctor.
Well, if Deadwood lived up to its name, they had a lot of patients.
It was. I don't think she lacked for business.
Were they the same attitude about women nurses?
I don't think so, because I think they thought, okay, they can do the dirty work, so to speak.
I see.
But anyway, the female physicians were subjected to more than ridicule when they decided to practice their vocation. They sometimes risked their own life. I mean, they did the same thing the men did. They would go out on to patients during the night, in the winter, in the cold, the rain. But anyway, 100 years after the first American female physician graduated from medical school, this was in 1849.
Oh, my.
Only a little over 5% of the students entering the field were women. So, but they made their way, and I'm going to talk to you about one particular doctor. Her name was Bethenia Owens. Okay, now I want you to picture this. Okay, she's in her house. There's a loud knock on the door. She answers the door, this Bethenia, and there's a messenger on the other side of the door, and he hands her a letter. Okay. Now, the monogram on the envelope showed that the letter came from a Dr. Palmer, who was a prominent physician in the northwestern area of the United States.
Okay.
So the messenger waited patiently for Bethenia to break the seal on the envelope and read the enclosed note. And she said, it's too bad. She says, one of our older citizens passed away, and the 6 local physicians who treated him at one time or another want to do an autopsy. And as one of the newest doctors in town, I'm invited to attend the operation. So you get the picture here. She's kind of on the outside, and they want her to come and help with an autopsy.
So let me guess and see how close I am. They just wanted to see if she was any worth at all.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
So she knew the invitation was meant as a joke, okay, and was determined to kind of turn the tables on these guys. Because there were, again, very few women in medicine in 1872, and by and large, they were not well received by the men doctors. Well, Bethenia kind of studied the note, carefully considering the response, and she told the messenger, she said, give Dr. Palmer and the others my regards and tell them I'll be there in a few minutes, which they didn't expect. Now, this is actually in Roseburg, Oregon now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, Bethenia followed behind the messenger to the Dr. Palmer's office, and where she waited outside, and she listened in as the messenger relayed the information she had given him, and heard the doctors laughing, and Bethenia opened the door. One of the doctors walked towards her, stretched his hand out, and he said to her, quote, do you know the autopsy is on the male organs? And he kind of laughed.
You're on your own.
No, Bethenia replied, but she said, one part of the human body should be as sacred to the physician as another. The mood in the room quickly changed to one of disbelief and then instantly to indignation. Well, Dr. Palmer objected to Bethenia's presence during the procedure, and he actually wanted her to leave.
I see.
So Bethenia was unmoved by this, and she stood her ground. She said, I came here by written invitation. I will leave it to a vote whether I go or stay. Mm-hmm. But first, I would like to ask Dr. Palmer, what is the difference between the attendance of a woman at a male autopsy and the attendance of a man at a female autopsy?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's turning the tables on these guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to leave you completely alone.
And we're headed down. Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
So for a few moments, none of the male physicians replied, and she had presented to them a question, can I stay or not? And they kind of have underestimated this lady. She had a lot of determination. Well, one by one, the men slowly voted in favor of Bethenia, not only staying, but actually performing the procedure, the autopsy. Mm-hmm. So news of her brave stand circulated throughout the community, and pretty soon a number of curious onlookers lined the street to look at this strange female doctor walking down the street. And still, a lot of the citizens, not just the doctors, but a lot of the citizens strongly disapproved of a woman in that line of work.
Do you have a picture of her?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
Not this lady, but, anyway, not long after this much talked about event, Bithynia moved to Northern Oregon, where with her sister, and started her own medical practice. And physicians, male or female, were lacking, as I've said, in a lot of parts of the West. So Dr. Owens, or Bithynia, hoped the need for her skills in Portland. Now she's in Portland, Oregon, which at that time wasn't that big.
No.
Wasn't very big. But she thought that would outweigh any reservations people might have regarding her gender. Now, Bithynia was actually born in Missouri in 1840. She immigrated to Oregon in 1843, settled in Clatsop County. By the time she turned 18, she had been married, divorced, and had a son. So she's got some strikes against her right off the bat. She supported herself and her child by taking in laundry. She did her own work.
Yeah.
But Bithynia's formal education was limited. At the age of 16, she could barely read and write. And anxious to learn, she jumped at an offer to attend school.
How did she become a doctor?
Well, they was a rough road.
Wow.
Let me just tell you. But she worked her way very hard through primary school. I guess that would be like our junior high or maybe high school.
Yeah.
And she did that by doing laundry for the ranch hands. And through books and lessons, she overcame the hardships associated, one, with a failed marriage and also being a single parent.
Oh, my goodness.
Again, things stacked up against her.
She had a lot of drive.
She did. And her sister persuaded her to leave Washington and return to Clatsop County. Bithynia agreed to attend and teach school in Astoria.
Yeah.
So she's gone, all the way around here.
My goodness.
So 1861, she again enrolled in school, and within 9 months, Bithynia had completed her high school education. So here she is,
she
just
did
finished
all of
high
it
school.
in a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
So she was dedicated. But she had a fondness for nursing and caring for sick friends and family, and it sparked her desire to study medicine. So she became truly committed to the calling after she watched an old doctor's inability to care for a small child. So this guy was probably way older than he should have been. And here's what she said about that. She said, "The old physician in my presence attempted to use an instrument for the relief of the little sufferer. And in his long, bungling, and unsuccessful attempt, he severely lacerated the tender flesh of the poor little girl.
Oh, my.
At last, he laid down the instrument to wipe his glasses. I picked it up, saying, 'Let me try, doctor,' and passed it instantly with perfect ease, bringing immediate relief to the tortured child."
Oh, my
Now,
goodness.
just based on that, I'm thinking they were doing a tracheotomy to open up the breathing.
Yeah.
And that's just a guess on that. Well, anyway, that kind of set in motion the course of Bithynia's new profession. There's only two people that supported her. One was a trusted physician who loaned her his medical books. The other was a judge who applauded her ambition and assured her that she would win.
Let me ask you quickly. You said that she went through her high school education out at Astoria, Oregon, right?
She was teaching and going to school.
Teaching and going to school. Where on the West Coast did she find a medical school adequate to learn all
Okay,
this?
she didn't.
She didn't?
No, not out here, but and I'll get to that where she started.
I'm sorry.
So, but anyway, this judge and this other doctor, they encouraged her. They said, "You'll do it." And there's a lot of the other doctors, they laughed, told her it was a disgrace for women to enter this work. And, of course, Bithynia disregarded their warnings and criticism. She pressed forward. So here's where she went, Zeb. She began her studies at the Philadelphia Eclectic School of Medicine in 1870.
Now, that's back in Philly.
So Philadelphia,
So she goes from Oregon clear back to Philadelphia, which wasn't easy traveling.
No, and actually that's where pretty much all the higher education took place, was back east.
And this was in
1870.
Wow.
Yeah. So the students at the college learned ways to treat the sick using herbs, mineral baths, natural medicines. And after being gone for 2 years, she returned to Roseburg, Oregon, eager to set up a practice. But still, the controversy that surrounded her after the autopsy incident forced her to open an office in Portland. And she had an office that had 2 rooms. Okay, patients sought out her unorthodox method of dealing with sickness and pain, and in no time her business was taken off. I mean, she was making a profit. She could then afford to send, by then, her 19-year-old son, George, to Berkeley Medical School, and he graduated in 1874. So she became a doctor. Her son, that she'd raised, became a doctor. So although her medical practice was prosperous, she was not satisfied. She wanted more knowledge in her field. So in 1878, she left Portland for Philadelphia again.
Going back again?
Yeah. But this time she went, she was advised to attend a school, the University of Michigan. Okay, that's not too far from where you were born and raised.
No, I was born in Wisconsin.
Yeah, but not too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, her daily schedule was filled with lectures, clinics, laboratory work, examinations.
Let me interrupt you quick right there, because when you talk about the travel and the time in that era, from Oregon all the way back to Philadelphia, Philadelphia back to Oregon, then Oregon back to Philadelphia or University of Michigan, you're talking literally months of travel.
And this woman says she never tired of the learning process.
Wow.
She never felt like she had it all, so to speak. So in June of 1880 now, Dr. Owens received her second medical degree. All right, second. So in the fall of that same year, she returned to the University of Michigan, accompanied by her son. Now together, the mother and son doctors attended advanced lectures in obstetrics and homeopathic remedies. Now, most people know homeopathic means using like herbs and things like that to cure people. So eventually, she settled in San Francisco, and there she met her second husband, a guy by the name of Colonel John Adair, and he was actually a Civil War veteran. They got married in 1884, and 3 years after the wedding, they were expecting their very first child, and sad thing, the child died after 3 days. So she had the one son now that was a doctor, but this baby died at birth. So, and at that stage, she was 47 years old. So she was older, to be having babies.
Yeah.
But anyway, she found comfort from the grief of her daughter's death in caring for the sick in her medical practice. And no matter what the weather conditions were, and knowing that there was no other doctor within 200 miles, she never refused a call from a patient. She attended all those she needed, traveling, rivers, swollen rivers, flooding, heat of the day, night. I mean, it just amazes me, her dedication.
I'm surprised at how they obtained their supplies.
And I'm saying they just bought their own, and oftentimes back then you did not get paid. You might get a chicken, or you might get some beef or something, but it was rough. And so her dedication just amazes me, what she did. So now get this, Zeb, she was still not content. So in 1889, she enrolled in a Chicago medical school to get a postgraduate degree.
Here we go back east again.
Back east. Woo. This woman was amazing. So anyway, at the age of 65, Bethania finally retired from her practice. Her focus then shifted from day-to-day medical treatment to research. She studied controversial topics like, back then, they talked about the sterilization of criminals that they considered insane.
Yeah, right.
And so that was something she studied a bit about, if that would be a good thing or not. But she remained a staunch social and political activist until 1926.
Oh, my.
When she died of natural causes at the age of 86. And actually, I do have a picture of her.
Do you have anything in regards to her son and her second husband? Did they continue on in the medical practice?
The husband, I don't think they had that great of a marriage, and I think they basically split.
I see.
But the son, I don't know whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
But if he had anywhere near the dedication that his mother had, wow.
I guess.
So to me, this is an amazing story of an amazing woman in a field where obstacles and all the way around.
Well, there again, I go back to the travel. I mean, you're not talking about going to the airport and getting on a plane and landing 3 hours later back in Philly. I mean, you're talking a lot of long, hard, arduous travel.
And again, facing objections from the community,
goodness.
The other women, the male doctors. But she really paved the way, I think, for a lot of our female doctors today. Which, as I mentioned earlier, one of the doctors I had a few years ago was a lady that was just amazing. She was caring, She was very, very good. She left the area, but she was a great doctor for me, and she saved my life.
That was an interesting report this morning. I really commend you on that.
Well, it's in my field as a chiropractor, I've studied the human body and how the body works when it's supposed to work, and when it's not working, what do you do about it? Do they need surgery? Do they need therapy? What do they need? So.
And it's really true. Medicine is still a practice.
It is, exactly. And I don't care who you are, it's an educated guess.
Yeah, that's true.
It always is. I mean,
that's true.
You gather all the information you can as a physician, and then it's an educated guess.
You did it again.
Well, thank you, Zeb. This was a fun topic for me today.
Okay, so now let's look at the calendar. We're just literally weeks away from Christmas.
Yes.
And I know that you're planning on doing something really interesting on the 18th, aren't you?
The Pioneer Christmases.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, some of the things, So we'll get into some Pioneer Christmas things that happened.
I can't wait.
In a couple of weeks.
Good job, Dr. History.
Thank you, Zeb. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I always look forward to Tuesdays to have this man in our studio, Dr. History, doing a great, great job. Don't forget, on Thursdays we have another segment called Cassia County School Days, and it's sponsored by A Child's World at 1308 Overland and Burley. Don't forget, check all the newspapers and the door hangers and everything. You can receive 25% off offer on everything in the store, reasonably priced clothes, great books and toys. Remember, they also have free gift wrapping, along with all the Cherokee scrubs and the toys and the shoes, everything. You stop in to A Child's World, 1308 Overland and Burley, sponsoring and bringing to you on Thursdays Cassia County School Days at 10:10. Right now, we're going to send it over to our dear friends at the studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and we'll have our guest on the air momentarily. I got to back up. I was going to say happy Thanksgiving. Zeb, that's over with. Merry Christmas wishes from Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke, District 27, rancher up in Oakley, and he and his family want to wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley with Rick and the crew. Believe me, they are your one-stop transmission repair facility. Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley, wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas. And really good folks with Pump Service, 103 West 500 South of Burley with the Baker Brothers. I'm telling you, they are good and offering same-day service. I know they're the best. Pump Service serving you. And last but not least, Minnecasia Sales. New flooring, doors, or more, it's all there at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley with Zach and the crew. Again, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Right now, without further ado, we're going to go to the telephone, and I have again another great attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and that's Jonathan Wood. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm really good, but you're going to be talking about a topic this morning that really, it makes me mad, because I honestly believe, and you'll hear my ire come out during our interview, I believe that these fires, wildfires, etc., absolutely could have been diminished, I'm going to say, by at least 50% in their severity if we, the United States, would have used common sense in getting rid of all the fuel in these fires and not listen to the environmentalists. Now, you take it from there.
Well, I certainly think that you're right, that there is a lot we could do to reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires, which are obviously getting worse. This year will set a record for the deadliest wildfires in California's history. In 2015, we set a record for most destructive wildfires across the nation. The number of areas burning has dramatically increased in recent decades. And a major reason for that is that the forests are overgrown with fuel sources that are not being removed. At the same time that we've had more and more brush and small and diseased and dead trees growing up, we've also reduced the amount of vegetation we're taking out of the forest. So all of the incentives are fundamentally backwards, and the risk of catastrophic wildfire has exploded.
Well, you're right on the money there, Jonathan, and I am not, and I'll let it be known first and foremost, I'm not a climate change believer. I have never believed in that, what I think is garbage science that's never been proven, or global warming. I'm not a believer in that, but I know firsthand, because of what happened here in the state of Idaho almost 20 years ago, with absolutely heinous fires because of extra fuel that should have been thinned out. And this is time, actually past time, to tell the environmentalists to take a hike.
Well, I think one of the interesting aspects of wildfire policy is that there are a lot of environmentalists who are recognizing that the current approach isn't working. You and they might never agree on whether climate change is responsible and how to deal with that problem, but there is common ground on what we do next year to make sure that the wildfires then are not as deadly and destructive as the wildfires we saw this year. And the only thing you can do to address that problem is to reduce the vegetation so that you don't have the same risk of catastrophic wildfire. There's still a lot of disagreement about how you do that. Currently, the Forest Service encourages the removal of brush, diseased, and dead trees by allowing timber harvesters to also remove large, commercially valuable older trees. That's very controversial with environmentalists. So for me, I think there is an opportunity for common ground, but environmental groups need to shift more in the direction of finding free market ways to encourage the removal of the vegetation causing the fire risk without needing to remove the big trees. Right now, few are actually offering a solution. They're just fighting through litigation and the bureaucracy, and that's not going to make the fires burn less next year.
Well, you know as well as I do, Jonathan, and you make a living doing this, that the environmental movement in this country is for no use at all. All they want is control, and they don't want any human footprints on any land or any usage. Now, come on, tell me, you know that. And so when they don't want us to go in and clean out the deadfalls and all the underbrush and everything that would help curtail these devastating fires, all they're doing is adhering to a policy of no humans allowed on the ground. That's the problem.
But that is certainly a problem, and there is a large and vocal, I think, minority extremist part of the environmental movement that does see it like that, that any change in the forest, let them burn, that's just the way nature works. And that is, of course, a dangerous ideology. And the regulations that they have supported, the litigation they have brought, is chiefly responsible for why the Forest Service has not been able to reduce fuel loads and reduce the fire risk. But at the same time, there are also reasonable environmental groups that are looking for better ways to fight the fire risk. And I think we need to engage more with them and perhaps ignore the extreme fringe that has been causing the political conflict today.
I absolutely, totally agree with that. We have a caller with a question or a comment. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air, please.
You know, by the time they go through all this, it's just like in Oregon, they're trying to figure out, a way to, manage the forests better. And it takes them forever to do anything. And in the meantime, we go through another 2, 3, 4 summers, and we've lost, I forget, in the West, did we burn down 5 million acres this year or something? I read it. I read every day. You see, and you say to yourself, once it's gone, it's gone.
That's right.
Once you burn it down, you won't be able to go camping there again. Your children won't appreciate it. And the environmentalists couldn't give a shiny, they couldn't care less. And it's gone. And just the loss of timber on the stump is unbelievable. And let alone making it into lumber. And how they have devastated things. And it burns so hot, it sterilizes the ground. The habitat is destroyed. And then we have runoff into the lakes. And these people play games. And in the meantime, we're losing unbelievable amounts of forest because of people who do not want to face up, who will not face reality They don't care to face reality. It has nothing to do with environmentalism. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, because everything he said, Jonathan, I'm going to go ditto. I am furious because many of my friends in California lost their homes or their livestock or their horse operations. I am furious and bitter to the point where I've got to really mince my words a little bit this morning against the environmental movement because I point the finger at them.
We appropriately focus on the human toll that these catastrophic wildfires have, and those that are inescapable and obviously very visible. But I appreciate the caller actually pointed out that there's also a lot of environmental destruction that happens because of catastrophic wildfires.
That's right.
Fires today are burning bigger and hotter than past fires. They're destroying different types of trees, and they're destroying tons of habitat and degrading watersheds. So environmentalists have a lot to gain from getting a handle on this problem. At the same time, solving in the short term is difficult. Over the last 20 years, the Forest Service has seen its budget diverted to fighting wildfires rather than managing and conserving our forests. 20 years ago, about the percentage of the agency's funds that went to fire management was about 15%. Today, it's about 50%. And the consequence of that huge shift in priorities is that the agency doesn't have the money or the staff to do things that it would traditionally do to manage fire risks. And now there's a 20-year backlog in projects that the agency knows it needs to do to reduce fuel loads on the national forest. Solving that problem is going to require a lot of dedication and time and money, and that's the opportunity for people to work together. The people that don't want to see communities burn, the people who don't want to see habitat burn, should be able to agree that there has to be a way to get this work done. And I'm actually buoyed by the fact that some environmental groups are actively working to try to solve that problem. Last month, the Blue Forest Coalition formed the first forest resiliency bond that worked with the state of California and a water district to fund restoration work in the Tahoe National Forest that the federal government couldn't afford. That's where the environmental groups should be focusing their efforts, not on litigation and not on regulation that makes the forest fire problem worse.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Jonathan, what that caller said just a moment ago was spot on. The environmental movement in the majority, they sit there and they know that they can call for a meeting on this, or they can call and procrastinate by having a hearing in a court here or wherever. And the longer it takes, they defy using two words that need to be applicable to forests today. And that's common sense. And that's something they don't have.
And that's a problem that's not going to be fixed until we reform the regulations and laws that manage our forests to provide better incentives. Right now, the incentive is to litigate and fight over absolutely every project. And the result of succeeding in one of those fights is you get a windfall of attorney's fees. The incentives are fundamentally backward, and they make it harder for communities to protect themselves from catastrophic wildfire. But I think if we reform those laws and we get better incentives, we'll also have a better environmental movement.
Yeah, but when you say that, and I'm not taking my wrath out on you. I look at you as one of the good guys. But what I'm saying is time. Time. We don't have a lot of time. A catastrophe like what happened in Paradise, California, can happen again next spring, next summer, next fall, at various locations. How are we going to do this before these things happen with the severity again?
Well, I think it takes keeping the anger that you're feeling alive, not forgetting what just happened, because it will happen again if we don't solve this problem. And I think we need to keep the pressure on everybody to stay united in figuring out how do we make sure that the fires don't burn as big and as hot next year. And I think there are opportunities to work together on that. We can fight and attack the environmentalists, and the environmentalists can attack the timber harvesters, and everyone can fight with everyone else, but that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years, and the fire problem's getting worse. If we're going to solve it, I think it's going to take everyone recognizing that we don't want to see our communities burn. We don't want to lose hundreds of people to catastrophic wildfire, nor do we want to lose ecosystems for endangered species. Everyone has something to gain from solving this problem, and ultimately it means reducing fuel loads next year so that more communities don't experience what communities experienced this year.
Okay, so now on behalf of Pacific Legal Foundation, you, Jonathan Wood, what is your main goal? What's your main objective within, let's say, the next 12 months, 24 months, whatever? What are you shooting for, my friend?
So for us, obviously, we're a nonprofit law firm, and we're focused on the law. I think the two priorities to fix the incentives are to, one, make the Forest Service more accountable. The federal government has to be a good neighbor just like everyone else. If you or I used our property in a way that created a huge risk for our neighbors, they would be able to stop us. We're not allowed to use our property in that way. And the same should be true for the federal government. If it's not going to address the huge fire risks it's creating on its land, local neighboring property owners who face the sort of dangers that we saw this summer and this winter should be able to hold the agency accountable. Now, that's not true today, but I think it's an easy fix. The second is that we need to reduce the incentives for environmental groups to use regulation and litigation to prevent each and every project. There are communities throughout the West that have had their drinking water supplies tied up for years because of litigation and have been unable to protect them from the risk of catastrophic wildfires. That can't happen. There's a lot that can be done to make the projects more palatable to environmentalists, and I think that's important. But until we get the incentives right, we're not going to avoid the endless conflict we've seen that's given us the problem we have today.
Yeah, you can't blame a private property owner that is bordering federal lands and the fires are coming off the hill and he stands to lose his home, his livestock operation, the livestock themselves, everything in a fire when he ought to get on a D9 cat and start burning things and doing all he can. And then the government comes after him and calls him guilty as a culprit. This is insanity.
Well, I'm never going to encourage a property owner to violate the law. Property owners obviously have responsibility to manage their own land to reduce risk, but the responsibility to manage the federal land falls on the federal forest. And there are tools property owners have and need to be able to exercise to hold the agency accountable when it's a bad neighbor. The government can no more create a nuisance than you or I can on our own land. And the failure to manage forests to avoid the risk of catastrophic wildfire is a classic nuisance.
You probably noticed that I get a little upset about this story, and I'm not going to change. Jonathan Wood, tell everybody how they can follow this story and others with the Pacific Legal Foundation.
The easiest way to find out more about PLF is to go to our website, which is pacificlegal.org.
Thank you, Jonathan. God bless you for what you do, and thanks for jumping into the fire pit with me.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Jonathan Wood with the Pacific Legal Foundation. That just frustrates me. I'm just so bitter at that. Oh, well, we'll have a meeting. Oh, well, we'll try to get this figured out. Oh, well, let's take them to court, all this kind of stuff. And then nothing gets done. And like Randy so eloquently said a few moments ago, people's lives are changed or altered or even lost, along with their property and their livestock. This is insane. All for a frivolous, stupid, and ill-thought environmental movement. Okay, calm down. Blood pressure pill, stage left. Anyway, I got to get to the weather forecast. The weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call? 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats from Scarro's Meats, like the buckboard bacon, leaner and more economical than traditional bacon with a lot of different flavors. Breakfast sausages, bratwurst, prime ribs, tri-tips, marinated pork ribs. Oh, it's all good. You're going to love it. Call them today. Stop over. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Relatively nice weather, but it is going to be cold for the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting sunny skies for today. Going to be nice and calm, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 8 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 31. Tonight, some clouds will be rolling into the valley, and we are looking at a low of 13. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, high of 27. Expecting an overnight low of 17. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be for the rest of the week and into the weekend. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 28, mostly sunny and mid-30s for Friday and Saturday, and even for Sunday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Did she say a high of only 27 tomorrow? Woo! Break out the woolies. Anyway, don't forget our weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, I have researched this thing tirelessly because when I go camping up in the mountains, and what was once a beautiful forest is now burnt to nothing, and I can't take my children there or my grandchildren there because it's not what it was.
That's right.
And we keep playing games. In Okanagan County, Washington, which is up against the Canadian border, they built, in one county, they burnt, in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, they burnt down 1 million acres.
Yep.
And people lost cattle. They burnt their cattle alive. It burnt their houses, their fences, their equipment. It burnt everything. And the federal government set a backfire, and they were never held accountable. And the people that lived there all their lives had been grazing that ground since the 1800s, said, do not burn that, set that. It's going to be devastating. And the federal government said, we know better, we're going to do it. And then when it didn't work out and it burnt down 1 million plus, let's say it was 300,000, they burned another 900,000 acres. And you said to yourself, so then the ranchers were trying to sue the federal government to get restitution. All they wanted was restitution, Zeb. They didn't want to get any kind of, pain and agony money. They just wanted to get some restitution.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. You don't have to leave the state of Idaho, Randy, to see the absolute. Let me get in here a minute. You don't have to leave the state of Idaho to see the absolute lunacy in federal land management as far as what happened with the fires here, 12, 15 years ago at least, and what happened with the federal lands versus the state-controlled lands and state-managed lands was an absolute day and night issue. I am very bitter that the environmentalists have got the neck of the federal government and all the use of our federal lands, and they're the ones that are doing the dictating. It's got to stop.
Well, in Grangeville, and I don't remember when it was, up in Idaho County, if I'm not mistaken, they burnt down so many acres, and they figured on the stump, the timber, not the lumber.
Yep.
The timber alone was 1 million plus. Close, and they figured that the lumber that was lost was close to $1 billion or something.
Yeah.
Because by the time you process the timber into lumber and sell it, it's worth a lot of money.
That's right. I've gotta run in here, Randy, and I hate to interrupt you. Look at your watch. You can see I'm out of time, but I do really appreciate your comments. They were very well stated this morning. Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet. Oh, that's a sore subject with me, and I agree with Randy. Thank you very much for your call. I want to have you get ready for anything that might be on the roadways, the snow, the ice, the mush, the slush, whatever, that your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they've got all the tires that are going to get you through. That's right. Be ready for anything with tires like the WinterCat XT. Increased stability, advanced winter traction, or check out the Reputation tire for your passenger cars. Superior performance, quiet ride. They've got all your tires. They've got all the sizes and all the different tread designs. All of this at each location of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. You heard Gina say it's going to get really cold the next couple of days. Make sure you've got a good battery. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. That's it for today. Tomorrow, we've got some outstanding guests on the program, and you don't want to miss a minute of it. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow on Wednesday. We always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be. And remember, the world needs more cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.